Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report and a company update from Novo Resources. We are going to be recapping some of the most recent drill results from the Tibooburra Project, the maiden program that Novo is running. Getting the update from Mike Spreadborough, he is the executive co-chairman, and Kas De Luca, general manager of exploration. Novo is traded on the TSX under the symbol NVO, on the OTCQB under the symbol NSRPF, and the ASX also NVO. Mike, let's talk about this Tibooburra project. Again, this is one of the newer projects that you brought in New South Wales that came in with the John Bull project. This program was an RC program, 14 holes, just under 2,000 meters, testing 500 meters of strike length. You hit some pretty high grades, all close to surface, because these are not long drill holes over some pretty decent widths. So take us through really what you learned from this maiden program at the Tibooburra Project, please.
Yeah, thanks, Cory. Great to catch up again. Yeah, so you're correct. So, one of the new projects we brought in as part of our project generation work to look at building a better high quality exploration portfolio. Tibooburra was one of those deals that we did in December, and it's a farming deal. So the team did a great job in the middle of summer in January and February to do the field work that kind of led to this drilling program that we completed in April and May. So to put in perspective, we always have liked the system at Tibooburra. It's been underexplored. It's a bit complex, which we'll talk about shortly, but we always think it's a great place to go and have a look and fits in within our strategy. Like all things, you got to do the work and build it up. But the intersections, 12 meters at 5.9 and 17 meters at 2.4, to put it in perspective, that's probably the best drilling intersections that Novo's had since we pivoted back to being a greenfields explorer. So are we excited? Yes. Are we going to do some more geological work and understanding? Most definitely. And then we'll kind of fit that into all of our other priorities. So we're pretty excited here in Perth.
So in figure one for that news release, we can see 5 different targets on this project. This drill program was focused on the clone target, pretty much right in the middle of the project. Why did you start here?
Has probably given a good answer, but a lot of work's been done by the previous owners at New Bendigo. So if you look at that picture, we've kind of moved up the trend. Some early holes had been done at Clone, so that gave us a good footprint to kind of build on that picture. And this drilling program definitely did and has given us a great insight to the geology. So the challenge for all of us now is, as you've seen in that picture, it's a very long strike length from New Bendigo up to Phoenix and Pioneer. No modern exploration in that area. So we'll continue to explore that whole trend. And obviously, we're looking for more of the clone type systems as we build up a better geological picture of this area. It's very simple metallurgy in terms of the gold type mineralization. So that's also a positive for us.
So, Kaz, in figure 3, it breaks down where these drill holes were and the different grades and widths. Seems like some of the best results here were in the northern part of this target. Can you explain what's going on?
Sure, Cory. Hi, it's good to be back. Yeah, as Mike said, the clone was our really sort of low-hanging fruit in this project. Manhattan had already done a few holes there and got a really good hit rate. But we just really didn't understand fully what was going on from their drilling over a couple hundred meters. So we went back and remapped everything that we could at surface. And in previous announcements, you'll see we had some pretty spectacular results from rock chips. Many rock chips there over 20 grams, and identified the fact that we thought there was a north plunging trend in the mineralization from the mapping. This was held up really well in the RC drilling. And you'll see on the long section that we've put into the report here, into the release, that certainly some of the holes went underneath the plunge component, though we've identified it really well now. And as Mike said, similarly, same sort of system that we see at New Bendigo with many more holes that Manhattan have done. But keep in mind, some of the results they got were 30 meters at 4 grams, including 5 at 20. and 8 meters at 40 grams, including 3 at 105. One of the reasons we really like this project to begin with is the fact that we know and we can see and we can show that we've checked there is a really high grade system. And as Mike said, now it's just a matter of trying to really get into understanding the complexities so we can be more predictive. And certainly this is the first step that we've had. Now we can identify this plunging chute because it works. The system works at Clone and also at New Bendigo. You can see in the other 3 prospects that we've got, it's likely going to be the same. So, already we'll likely, within the next field program that we do, have a series of open-ended chutes plunging north that we can test predictively.
Okay, that's interesting. Let's talk a little bit more about that. So you have these other targets, and obviously this is just your first program. You started at Clone. Does that mean you can use these results to further analyze some of the other targets for either better drill targeting or to prioritize where to go next?
Sure. Look, we think, one of our modus operandi here at Novo is that we do the surface mapping before we commit to any drilling. So, we did that 3-week stint in February this year. The guys were on the ground, did a whole bunch of mapping and sampling and got some ideas. Next steps were easily to test at Clone because there were only a dozen or so holes had been drilled there. We certainly weren't going to go back to New Bendigo without really understanding it, which is one of our next steps. And certainly, again, there's been drilling at Pioneer, but results have been fairly sporadic. But when you actually put a plunge component into it geologically, it's not an easy thing to just drill out easily. So there's areas like Pioneer Clone and New Bendigo that we're pretty confident they'll have this northerly plunge. And Phoenix and Waratah Reef particularly, there's lots of old workings there again on that trend. But we really haven't, Manhattan or previous operators haven't tested it at all. So systematic work, several trends that look really interesting, proof of concept at Clone and New Bendigo straight away, and really Pioneer hints the same way. But also keep in mind, half of these trends haven't even really been tested because they're all undercover. So where the areas and the historic workings have been exposed, that's where much of the focus has been in the past. So there's a lot more to go in this project in terms of testing undercover as well.
So Mike, let me throw it over to you then in terms of future plans at this project. What are you going to do next? Are you going back to Clone? Are you going to test out these other targets, or do you go to some other projects within your portfolio?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So if you carry on Kas's story that we like to build the picture. So in terms of Tibooburra, the next step is the team will go back onto the ground using the knowledge that they've seen from this drilling to have a look at that trend all the way up to Pioneer. And also, as Kas said, we're actually going to go back and have a look at the core that's been at Bendigo and kind of re-log, not all of it, but some of it, using the information that we've seen on Clone. So we'll do more technical work at Tibooburra and then design a drilling program. Timing on that program, who knows? We're pretty committed at the moment, per some of our other announcements, that we want to go back to the Pilbara at this time of year because it's a good time of the year to be in the Pilbara. Temperatures are okay. And as people recall, November, December, we start to see terrible weather. So we're really keen to go and hit some of our antimony and gold targets in the Pilbara. So we'll go and do that work first. Then second, we're still working to get on the ground at John Bull and Grafton, and we'd like to go there as our second priority. And then we're really going to sit back and look at all those results and then see, well, based on the knowledge, do we go and play around again at Tibooburra or do we go back to the Pilbara? So the next 2 drilling programs or 3 drilling programs, 2 in the Pilbara and 1 in John Bull, are pretty well defined. After that, we'll really prioritise on what we think is the best project that has the potential to grow. But again, behind the scenes, we've got a lot of other greenfields projects. So the GOs aren't just sitting around waiting. We've got other ground that they've been out there now taking rock chip samples and mapping on some of the early stage work. So we're always busy looking for the next good project.
So as many projects as you have, though, these drill results are pretty good at Tibooburra, and it sounds like you still have a number of other targets to go after. So as of now, Tibooburra, probably is ranked pretty high in the whole project portfolio, though, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. As I said, we're ready to go drilling in the Pilbara on antimony, so we'll go there. As soon as we can free up the field work team, they'll head to Tibooburra and do all of that, technical work. We've designed the program at John Bull, and that's really super high priority at the moment, given if people remember some of the sections that we've released on John Bull are really super duper. So we want to go there and test that, and then we'll be in a pretty good position. So bottom line is Tibooburra is exciting. We really like the results. It kind of justifies the expenditure of what we've put in there, and it really gives us something to work for. So it's achieving the objectives that we wanted to do back in, early last year, grow the portfolio and grow it with quality at the back end, more advanced exploration projects, maybe even find some advanced resource projects that we can, prosecute those while we're continually looking for greenfields. Because it's those type of projects that if we get a good intersection, that's going to drive shareholder value through great price accumulation. Gold price is great, copper price is great, antimony price is through the roof. So I think we've got great assets, great prioritization.
So, Kaz, it sounds like you have your hands full. You're the general manager of exploration. There's a lot of exploration going on here. As the general manager of exploration, what has you really excited? What can we all look forward to in terms of this drilling that's upcoming that really could just change the overall outlook and focus of the company?
Wow, what a question. We really like Tibooburra. Tibooburra is actually also easy logistically to get to. We managed to do the work in February and then be drilling in April. So it went through really well, really quickly. We can get back there pretty much easily to get on the ground, find the core, and we really like this project. John Bull is taking a little bit more time because of all the floods and the sort of awful weather that the East Coast has had over the last few months. But there's a program there. We got on the ground, we did the work. So those two are really exciting. What's really useful to know, though, is that, projects like Onslow, like Unga, which is another area where we've got a broad scale, more district scale project of a 1,500 square Ks, we're starting to get tenements come through to grant there. So don't just watch this space, because we've got some great targets there already. Once the ground's fully granted, we'll be seeing work done in the Onslow district. And we've also got the antimony projects in the Pilbara. That's going to keep us very busy, but, we campaign the work now. We've got a smaller, more effective team run by some really experienced exploration manager level geologists, and we move them around now, and we can easily manage doing this work across all of our portfolio and our priority projects before the end of this year. Next steps for next year. But yeah, we've still got a lot of work to do before December, that's for sure.
All right, Mike, final question then. If you could just recap again what news is on tap, but then also what the general budget will be for the rest of this year and the capital that the company still has available to it, please.
Yeah, good question. So Newsflow people will see shortly a bit of an update in our corporate presentation, and we'll put out our normal quarterly business updates. So all of that will happen in the last week of July. Assuming we get on the ground and complete our antimony targets, you'll see those results flow in probably somewhere around mid-September, given labs have slowed down a bit. And we'll probably let everyone know when we're back on the ground in Grafton and drilling. So there's some good news flow coming through. We'll put out an update on our cash position at the end of July. But at the moment, we're okay to fund the work that we want to do going forwards for the remainder of this quarter and early quarter 4. Then we'll need to just consider where we go next in terms of funding and prioritisation. But we're in a great place. As I said, there's great support for explorers, given good gold price and antimony price. So we're in a good position going forwards.
All right. Mike Spreadborough, again, Executive Co-Chairman of Novo Resources, and Kas De Luca, General Manager of Exploration. I'll post a link to the company's website in the show notes. You can read over the news release, look over those drill results. Send me your thoughts, everybody, and any questions you have for the team at Novo, and I will get them to address those on future interviews. So, Mike, Kaz, thank you very much again for your time today.
Thanks, Cory.